Howdy, hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Preferred Podcast. I'm your host, director, and producer, Sajay Preferred, and today we have special guest, Amber Valentine.
Howdy, bitch. Yes, it's me, Miss Sajay. Don't forget that E. Shady whore serves the tea, the only preferred you'll ever see.
So welcome to the Preferred Podcast, Amber. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You know, another day, another slay, as what BB said. It was BB. I think it was BB. So Amber and I are here to talk some smack, spread some tea, and serve some so let's get into it with the topic of slay. Are you ready?
Slay.
Yeah, topic of slay.
Let's go slay.
So today's topic of slay is Drag Race.
Drag Race.
Drag Race. So recently, Amber has dug herself into a huge deep hole with Drag Race, and I thought, what could be better than more trauma?
Girl,
right?
I'm over Drag Race at this moment.
We don't say that. As drag queens, we don't say that.
Okay, but when you've watched so much in a year and a half like I have, girl.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair. So what is Drag Race? Drag Race, for, you know, our straight audience out there who may not know. Drag Race is a competition. It is a TV show competition, a reality TV show competition. Keyword reality.
Reality.
And it's of drag queens, and it is starring the host RuPaul.
The queen of drag.
The queen of drag. Yeah, not a drag queen. A drag queen. I'm the queen of drag. I love that. But just to put it out there, there's a huge difference between Drag Race and RuPaul's Drag Race, in my opinion.
Yes.
Because you have, like, Drag Race Mexico.
Yeah.
You have Drag Race España. You have Drag Race Germany.
How many did we count?
14.
Yeah.
14. Well, that was
that including US?
So it's probably, like, what, -3, 4? The main difference is, of course, RuPaul. RuPaul only hosts a couple of them. We're about to get into all of the franchises. That's actually the next point of this. But the ones that RuPaul hosts are UK versus the World, the regular season of course, All Stars, and allegedly Global All Stars, which has yet to come out.
Down Under.
And Down Under. I always forget about Down Under. I always forget her. But getting into the franchises, we have RuPaul's Drag Race US, of course. That's the OG season. There is currently now 16 seasons of that. And then, of course, we have RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars, which there are currently 8 seasons, 9 in production. Drag Race Thailand. This is getting into the other franchises, the international franchises. Drag Race Thailand has 2 seasons, was actually canceled for a minute, and then recently brought back with Pangina being the co-host. I don't remember. I think the other host's name is Art or something like that. RuPaul's Drag Race UK, there are 5 seasons of that, with RuPaul as the host of that one as well. And you have seen those.
I would say that just got over, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. Drag Race España, 3 seasons of those. Drag Race Holland, 2 seasons of those, which has been canceled. Drag Race Down Under, which RuPaul is the other host of that, 3 seasons of those. Drag Race Italia, 2 seasons. Drag Race France, 2 seasons. Drag Race Philippines, there's 2 seasons. Drag Race Belgium, ? 1 season. Drag Race Sauvage? Oop.
What the?
My Alabama education is showing through. There's 1 season of those. There's Drag Race Mexico, Drag Race Brazil, UK versus the World, all have 1 season. Currently UK versus the World is about to announce their 2nd season of cast.
Super excited about that.
Coming, the cast announcement actually, for UK versus the World season 2 is coming January 13th. And then Canada versus the World,
which we just finished.
Yes, and there's actually another season of that coming very soon as well. Hosted by Brooklyn Heights, actually.
My queen.
And they didn't put... Oh, yeah, they did. Canada's Drag Race on here. Canada's Drag Race is hosted by Brooklyn Heights. UK vs. the World, as we mentioned, is hosted by RuPaul. But yeah, there are a bunch of franchises, and there's actually a bunch more in the works as well. Like I mentioned, All Stars 9 is in production. Actually, I think they're finished with production. They're just in the editing process. But there's so much Drag Race now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people say it's oversaturated. You know, I feel like, hey, everyone deserves their time, their platform, you know, so on and so forth. But when did you start watching Drag Race? Like, what season did you start watching?
I started from the very, very beginning.
So
a year and a half
1.
ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago, I started season 1 and worked on my whole way up to all of US to current, Canada to current.
I was about to say, UK. Canada was your first international, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy because UK was, which we'll get into that later, why Canada was your first international. But UK was actually the first international season to be in production. I think besides Drag Race Thailand, I think Thailand actually came before UK.
Right.
But with RuPaul's Drag Race UK, it was the first one.
Yeah, so I've done US, Canada, UK, Canada versus World, UK versus World, now run down under.
Can you guess my first season that I watched? You might already know.
You've told me, but I don't remember. I also feel like Trixie might have a play in this, but I also feel like
it was season 4.
I also feel like it was before Trixie's
season 4. Yeah, and you've watched. You're getting up there. You're getting up there. I will admit, I have not seen. We both have the issue of subtitles. It's hard for us to read subtitles. Especially when we watch TV the way we watch TV. It's definitely hard for us to read subtitles. So watching the franchises that aren't in English make it a lot harder for us. We really had to sit here and focus. And it takes a lot of work.
I'm trying to steer clear of those ones.
Yeah.
As long as possible.
So, but I've seen quite a few. I've seen, you know, not to toot my own horn, but more than you, I'm getting you into the international seasons. I've seen Philippines, Down Under, Holland, one season, I think it was the second season of Thailand. And I think that's the only ones I have against you. I think that's really it. Because you've seen Canada, UK, both the versus the world, and of course All Stars regular seasons. Your next one is Philippines.
Well, after we finish Down Under.
Yeah. Oh.
After we crawl through Down Under.
Yeah.
We started Down Under.
Yeah.
So we get that done out of the way.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it quick. I mean, girl, we've been finishing seasons in a day and a half. Like,
yeah,
we've been getting through them quick.
I mean, it's once you get the basis down and like you can kind of like figure out, you know, the rest, and then you just kind of put the pieces together and you put the puzzles of the pieces together and you watch the, you know, it play out.
You know, there's one season that I got to the 3rd episode and just completely stopped watching, and I just skipped it. But it's because when I was catching up, it was the current season that was on, so I seen it everywhere. So I already technically watched it and knew everything that went on.
What season?
All Stars 8.
You haven't finished All Stars 8?
No, because I don't have to. I know every single elimination.
There were a bunch of seasons that you already knew.
But this one, being it was so current, I wasn't going to watch it like 2 months after everybody else watched it when I already knew all the eliminations, who won, like...
Well, that's a bummer. But do you have a to lighten the mood of the bummer? Do you have a favorite Drag Race memory, like a scene of Drag Race, or you know maybe sitting and watching Drag Race? I don't know, after a depressing day. Do you have a memory of Drag Race that's one of your favorites?
I'm honestly, and call me whatever you want. I have to say, season 11's final 5. Performance.
Horrible.
Does that make me biased?
Yeah.
Let me sum that up. My all-time favorite Drag Race memory is seeing Brooklyn Heights walk in the workroom. Hands down, 100%.
Sure, jam.
Hands down, 100%.
I don't know. Mom was probably watching season 4, the very first season I watched, because I was literally sitting on the floor of Dre's apartment, my brother, and he was combing a wig on the top of my head, styling a wig while we were watching Drag Race, and I was like, "Wow!" But what's your favorite series of Drag Race? Out of all of the series, what would you say is your favorite series?
Like as
franchise, yeah.
Canada.
Really?
Honestly, I say Canada because that's continuously going.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked Canada versus the World.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that they brought ISIS back also for that.
Do you have a favorite? Okay, so since you said Canada is your favorite, do you have a favorite season of Canada?
So my favorite season is season 2 when ISIS won. ISIS was everything.
I do agree. Isis is definitely one of the top tier queens, and I mean internationally as a whole, but also.
And I live for the Vivian too.
Yeah.
And Lawrence Channing.
Different series, but yes, it's UK.
I know.
And I mean, I guess this can we'll go with this season just to stick on the note of it. But do you have a favorite queen from that season? I'm assuming it's Isis.
Yeah, it's Isis.
Yeah,
I was rooting for Isis since the moment she walked into the workroom.
We were all rooting for you. Do you have a favorite Drag Race queen in general?
Brooklyn Heights. Like, if I could embody her in drag, I would. Like, Brooklyn Heights is like, there's no words. You can't explain it. It's just there.
It's just Brooklyn Heights.
It's just Brooklyn Heights. Like,
on the different side of the note, do you have a least favorite series?
You know, I don't know.
Just say it. It's Down Under.
Well, first off, I only made it 2 episodes in. I fell asleep halfway through the second episode.
I mean, there you go. Here's the thing. I've been like, you know, if you haven't caught on, Down Under is, in my opinion, the worst season. There were series. I tried with one was horrible. I was like, 2 is going to be better. Season 2 was horrible. 3 was probably the worst. And I was like, what is going on with this franchise?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's one that I don't necessarily like.
And the fact that RuPaul hosted, too. That's what kind of gets me. I don't know.
Wait, when did that one first air?
That's a good question. It was 3 years ago.
Oh, it's lame.
You know. But with a lot of the things of Drag Race, a lot of the topics of Drag Race, I guess you would say, in the queer community, sometimes they're not the best. You know, a lot of people do not speak highly of RuPaul's Drag Race. So let's talk for a brief second about the controversies of Drag Race and RuPaul's Drag Race as a whole. So as mentioned, like, you know, there are some queer people in the community who do not like Drag Race, we will say, and even drag entertainers who don't really appreciate Drag Race. And I feel like a lot of that, not gonna lie, comes from jealousy.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to say it, but it's the truth. And it happens. It's the human trait, I guess you would say.
Right.
But another huge thing that a lot of people don't like about it, I guess you would say, is they feel like it takes away from local entertainment and local drag entertainment. I had to disagree. I think, one, like, specifically thinking about Allison 7th, they have a viewing party here in Birmingham for RuPaul's Drag Race season 16, and it's like, that's revenue for that bar. Right. You know what I mean? Not to mention, like, Drag Race has really populated drag and has, you know, a lot of people, I said it earlier, it's oversaturated drag. And yeah, that can be a bad thing, but it really isn't when you think about it. Right. The general public is now talking about drag. And of course, you know, we know from a fact, being in the state of Alabama, sometimes it's not a good way of talking about drag. But at the end of the day, media is media. It is. It's being talked about. But another controversy that comes with Drag Race has to do with, a lot of people say it's edited. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's a reality competition.
You're talking about the show in general?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's edited, but you know what I mean. Like, blame it on the edit. Roxy Andrews, here to make it clear. Here to make it clear. Here to make it queer. But I don't know. I feel like you are signing up for a TV series and you are signing up as a character for a TV series, and you should know that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you've heard half of them sing. They don't sound like what plays on the stage.
Exactly. And it's also like, you know, some people, including myself, don't see their drag as a character or as a persona. And yeah, therefore it would be kind of contradicting to sign up for, you know, such show. Best example with this is the Girlfriend Experience on Canada's Drag Race, the newest season of Canada's Drag Race. She said that her drag was a representation of herself. And she said that she was putting herself on, her whole self onto camera, and it was, you know, being too much, exposing herself too much. And I'm just sitting here thinking, I totally get it, but girly, you signed the papers.
Right, you knew what it was about.
Like, and I get it, you can get there and be like, whoa, this is totally different. This is not what I was expecting.
Right.
And that, that happens. But at the end of the day, you signed up for it. Mm-hmm. At this point, there's so much Drag Race. There's so many people to like hear of their experiences to not be prepared. You know what I mean? Not even the sense of drag wise, but mentality wise. And of course not fully mentality, because when I walk into a room full of blinding lights, it's a jarring moment.
Right.
It's the same with walking to a room full of people behind cameras just pointed at you. Right. And I totally get it. That's a different experience. But at the end of the day, right, you sign up for it. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like I
can definitely see how overwhelming it could be.
Yeah. I don't know. Even in the sense of that, with you once again signing up for a role on a TV series. Right. So when it comes to, you had to say the things, whether you said it in that moment or time. Girly, there's a reason they make you wear the same outfit every single day for conventionals. Like, put two and two together. My only thing I would say is just be careful what you say. Mm-hmm. If you have nothing to be afraid of, there's nothing to be afraid of. Right. If you have no content to make bad content, there's no content.
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
You gotta make a mess, clean a mess.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the controversies that come with Drag Race are very crazy. Right. They're insane. They're like so far-fetched sometimes. But as a whole, Drag Race has come so far.
It really has.
It really has. From the blurry filter of season 1 to the blurry filter of Drag Race Down Under season 1, which I'm still confused about. But it has came so far.
How much further do you think it's got?
I think it's I mean, there's already like 2 other international seasons coming out. Right. There's already Global All-Stars coming out, which I'm so excited to see how that's going to pan out. Because I know from, like speculations and whatnot, and spoilers, that there's a bunch of queens from season or series that don't speak English. So I'm just and apparently RuPaul is hosting it. And that's another controversy to go back to it. A lot of people find it controversial that RuPaul hosts these international seasons and doesn't really have a cultural connection with that area, such as UK, specifically Down Under. Right. And I totally get that.
I get that 100%.
But at the end of the day, like, if you're a drag queen and you get booked in UK... Right. And you're from the US, make it make sense. Right. It doesn't matter.
And vice versa.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it really...
Like the Vivian coming and competing here.
Do you ever see yourself being on Drag Race?
Maybe one day.
What series?
I don't know.
Canada?
I don't know yet.
Just to see
I'm going to move to Canada just for that and then turn around and move back.
I can't. Well, that does it for the topic of slay, but to add to drag.
Slay.
More drag on top of drag.
Ugh, drag.
It's time.
I think it's time to quit drag.
Wow. Wow, we're this far into it. Now you want to say it? Anyways, it's time for Speed Racing. With Amber joining me and watching the first episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 16, we're going to talk about it. We're going to spill the tea and tell you our review of the episode.
Let's talk some girl.
Yeah. So before the episode, did you, like with the Meet the Queens, did you have a favorite already?
Q definitely was one that really kind of stood with me. Mm-hmm. And Plain Jane also.
Plain Jane. I'm excited. Ready to see her.
I'm ready for next week already.
If spoiler alert, it was a double premiere. If you've seen Drag Race, you know.
I would say it's not.
Know,
they even knew.
And the second it went
talks
off,
about it now.
Which I mean, I think is like it's prompted to happen at this point. Right. And I think last year they did it very unique, how it was like 2 at the beginning, but then they kind of made it 1, Right. But I do agree with the split premiere, because you genuinely get to see them.
I gagged on, was it 15?
13.
Yeah, no, it was Marsha. No, it wasn't Marsha. It was, the one where they did, when they
sing?
Yeah.
that was 13.
That was 13. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Slay.
A lot of people hated that. They were like, "That's so cruel."
Well, yeah, but I mean,
once again,
it's
reality.
drag, first off,
reality TV. Hey, yeah, let's talk about that. How is that cruel?
We're being cruel to ourselves, putting ourselves in danger.
But also, not to mention, in the actual drag world, you could pay like $500 to compete in a pageant, sometimes more, and lose it immediately.
Uh-huh.
So, like, it's the same thing, girl.
Mm.
Like, come on. We watched the episode, and the entrance is incredible.
Honestly, I can say I was very shocked and impressed with this first episode.
Mm-hmm.
I really kind of didn't think at the beginning that it was going to be...
Yeah. And I mean, I was literally texting you. I was like, "Have you seen the first episode?" And you were like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, fine. We'll still watch it together." And then I was like, "But I've seen not good things. I've seen people talking about how they wanted more. I've seen people talking about the queens on this season were sloppy, which we'll get into because there definitely are a few." But I didn't think it was that bad.
I would say I didn't think it was horrible.
But with
especially for like it's their very first episode, like
Mm-hmm.
their very first time on the stage in front of these cameras, knowing the world is literally about to see them. Like, I'd be nervous myself.
Mm-hmm. And it could be down under. Could be worse. That part. But with the entrances aside, because I mean the entrances, were entrances that, I'm kind of like not in. I stopped remembering Queen's entrances at like season 12. Like, it's just not gonna happen anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many now. It's not gonna happen.
Yes, and some of their looks when they walked in, I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you can go revisit my favorite in last week's podcast, but I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it. From just the Meet the Queens and the entrances alone, it was Dawn. And even in the episode, as we get into it, spoiler alert, still Dawn. I'm still obsessed with Dawn.
I don't know, because during that episode, you didn't say a whole lot about Dawn. You were all about a few others.
But it was Dawn. But, after the entrances, we get the woo, the girl, she done been all the damn had hers. And that's when they, like we mentioned, immediately know that it is a split premiere. Right. And then they were informed that they were going to do a photo shoot. This photo shoot was incredible. The idea was amazing. The idea was so far-fetched. And I immediately looked to you and said it was very much so like season 11's mini challenge where they were in the what is it called? An alley.
Yep.
And they were like trying to get into the entrance and Silky busted down the door.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was just it was so iconic. The neighborhood, incredible.
It was everything. I was looking for it.
It was so good. Do you have any people that stood out from the first mini photo shoot?
I was kind of living a little bit for Mirage. When Mirage first walked in, I was kind of eerie about her.
Yeah.
I thought she was about to be like...
I didn't think she really did anything for the photo shoot. I thought she just kind of stood there.
Well, I mean, she was serving at least.
That's fair. That is fair.
And she gave me a little bit more than when she walked in. Q
when she went up to the doorbell and she was like, "Hello, let me in." That was everything. Dawn.
Q was great.
Dawn was the best. When Dawn had the balls to point at RuPaul and say what she said. Everything.
I was so weak.
Everything. Saphira was, spoiler alert, Saphira won the mini challenge.
Yep.
But I don't know. I love Saphira. Saphira, like I mentioned in the last episode, is probably one of my favorites. And I didn't think she was the best in the mini challenge. I thought Dawn and even Q was better in the mini. And even Morphine.
Yep.
I thought Morphine was pretty good too when she did the split with the scooter.
Yeah, that was
everything.
It was just a scooter in general for me.
And also, not to mention, this photo shoot as a whole was, once again, just to put it out there, incredible. But it was also something that was different than what Drag Race has been doing for the first mini challenge photo shoots in the past or most recent seasons. You know, like last year they had the car with the water. And then they also had, what was the other one?
The motorcycle.
Yeah. But this one was just something campy and fun, and I thought it was pretty cool. But after as mentioned, Saphira wins the mini challenge, which I don't know. I feel like there were quite a few other queens who could have won, personally, like Dawn. I feel like Dawn, even Morphine could have won when she did this split with the scooter. That was incredible.
That was everything.
And I feel like Love Connie. We forgot to mention Love Connie.
Connie.
A lot of people didn't really interfere with Love Connie, including Saphira. I feel like when Dawn literally chased after Love Connie.
That was so funny.
But I feel like that was more of a winning material. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. After finding out that Saphira does win the mini challenge, they are told that the maxi challenge was a talent show themed to the MTV Spring Break of the 90s, which I'm obsessed with.
I love the 90s.
The MTV Spring Break, I remember, was one of my first exposures to RuPaul. I remember her performing Snatch the Gods, and I was obsessed. I was immediately like, who is this? What is this person doing? It's incredible. But my main question with it is, why Derek Barry?
Girl, listen.
They
ran low on money, girl.
I'm not spreading no hate.
They had to book somebody. Like, no shade, no tea.
But when you come onto an all-star season saying that you're not doing Britney Spears and then enter as Britney Spears, you are doing nothing. You are a waste of material, we will say. We won't say space.
Like, at this point, bring up the box and let Shangela jump back out.
Like, come on. What's going on here?
Dance.
I don't understand. But we get into it. Morphine is actually the first one.
Morphine.
This talent.
Honey.
This talent was incredible.
I'm stealing the gown.
The gown, the hair, the reveal.
Both reveals.
The body. The makeup.
Okay, but that split.
The split. When she did the one, right? Incredible. Yep. And although her reveal in the talent was incredible, moving onto the runway with the runway theme being Reveal Yourself, it was a no for me.
So I like the idea of the towels.
I did not.
I don't know. It was different. I didn't like how simple it was, but I mean, it was interesting. I wish she would have kept the towel on. That's
my thing, is it went from simple to simple. It went from a towel to a swimsuit.
Okay, but it was a towel reveal.
I'm a simple girl. I like simple things.
Okay, well, first of all, that bathing suit my great grandmother would have wore when she was a grandmother.
The talent was a 10 for me. The runway was a 2.
Talent was a 10. I'll give runway a 3.
It just wasn't. Next up, we have a mandatory meeting. Who no.
Campy.
The talent was campy. The talent was incredibly campy. It was chaotic.
Yeah, it was.
And not in a good way. She literally reminded me of one of those, like, blow-up worms at, like, the car selling. Yeah. It was, no. She was all over the place. She was chaotic. It was just...
No, I didn't expect her to have some kind of moves, though. Because first off, split.
Yeah, I was gagged about the split. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know. I don't expect a lot from her, but we'll see.
That sounds horrible, but I mean,
we'll see.
Because getting into the runway was not it for me. The runway was so much worse than the actual talent.
Can we talk about how I was gagged over the wig falling off?
Yeah, I mean, restart that. Girl! You better come out here and you better work without a wig. Like, we already know it happened. We know they're gonna keep it in. Like, what's the point now?
I don't there's a concept there, but I don't understand what the concept is.
Purple. She openly said she's never painted purple before. Why did you choose to do it now? When it looks a hot boo-boo mess. Baby, no. So for me, it was like a 5 for the talent and like a 2 for the runway.
I give it a 6.
No, I would honestly, I gave Morphine a 2 for the runway. And it was, I don't want to give Amanda a 0. So we'll
give her a 1 then.
We'll give Morphine a 4 and we'll give Amanda a 2.
Well, You can't
I'm
do
going
better
back.
than me on morphing machines. Mine for morphing is now 5. For Amanda Tori meeting, first off, I love her name.
And the name
I'm
is,
gagged over it.
and I don't know if you noticed, but meeting is like meat. MEAT.
I just noticed that.
Yeah.
I'd give her, honestly, for her talent, I'd give her a 6. For her runway, I'd give her a 1.
The runway was bad.
The runway's horrible.
The runway was very sloppy, which feels like is going to be an overall theme with the mandatory meeting.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Dawn. Immediately talent, yes. The song was incredible. The song was, it didn't sound like it was recorded in a closet. It
Right.
sounded very professional. It sounded very put together, and it was cute. It was so cute.
Can we talk about the flop and the drag at the beginning?
Yes. Like, it just from the immediate start grabbed your attention.
Like,
you know what I mean?
Camp.
And down to
as
the
hell.
end when she had the reveal with the glass, and then she was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was in there."
Oh, yeah.
Like,
was living for the long sleeves.
incredible, yeah.
Can we talk about the Teletubby that she looked like?
I don't know. I guess I didn't gather the Teletubby realness from it.
She's adorable though.
She is adorable.
She really is.
And even moving to the runway, it was very unique,
Campy.
campy, but it was still adorable.
I think we're gonna see a lot of camp from her.
Oh, definitely.
The Yeti's waist was snatched. Slay.
Yes.
We love a good silhouette.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, Loki thought it was a shrimp at first.
First off, a shrimp girl. I know you're gay, but I didn't realize you were that gay.
Wow, you're gonna have to help me on national television. But yeah, for me, Dawn was 10 talent, 10 runway.
Yeah. No, I lied. I'd give it. Yeah, I'd give it 10 to 10. I like 10 to 10.
Yeah,
I was living
incredible.
for the purple hair.
Yeah,
And that body.
the body was snatched,
The body was good.
and the camp through and through from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, and like,
I think we're gonna get a lot of
very
from her.
very Y2K still, very like in modern pop. Sounded like an honest modern pop song.
I think she'd do good on even like a Camp Wanakiki kind of deal.
Yeah. Next up on the list, we have Q, who I thought was so incredibly smart and talented.
So smart.
Especially, for the talent show, of course. And I immediately was like, this is going to make RuPaul die of laughing. And that's the key for the show. If you make RuPaul die of laughing, you're doing what you need to do.
Right. You can at least soar through the competition safe, which there have been
Yeah.
all safe and no win queens in the top. So, I mean, slay.
I mean, not to mention, legends who have just been a favorite of RuPaul for making her laugh, such as Kenny Muse, Jimbo, so
Yep.
on down the line.
Yep.
So I thought it was
very clean too.
I thought it was very smart. I thought it was very funny. But getting into the runway, opulent. It was very elegant. Her runway was incredibly stunning.
It's couture.
Exactly. It was, and that's something that it blew me away because we saw very showgirl in the entrance, and then we saw comedy in the talent. And then for the runway, we saw opulence and elegance.
Hey, we love a versatile man.
Yes. So I was kind of shocked by Q, not gonna lie, in a very, very good way.
Well.
So I would definitely give it a 9 for the talent, just because I feel like once I found... Oh, now let's talk about that. How did she get this set onto Drag Race? She's from Kansas City, Missouri, I think.
Now, I also wonder if it was just something that... Because I'm assuming they keep their own props and stuff from years
from
past.
like older, yeah.
So I wonder if... And they have something similar to it from when they do the Puppet Mini Challenge.
I mean, I guess that's
so
true.
I wonder if it's something that
but
they
it
had to
her
have
name
had.
on it.
Well, you can easily put your name on something.
I mean, I guess paint it. I don't know. That was insane to me. But 9 for the talent, just because it did kind of get, I was like, oh, okay, so that's all we're doing. And then for the runway, I would say a 10.
I'd give it a 10 for the talent because it was hilarious, and I give her a 20 on her runway.
A 20.
It was sickening. I found my next project because I want that on my body.
Mm-hmm.
It was sickening.
Next up, we have Mirage, who I was not really expecting much of whenever the cast was revealed. But with this talent show, I was absolutely blown away.
That's sickening.
It was so incredibly sickening. I'm not a huge fan of floor work at all, but the way she does it was so stripper-esque, and I was absolutely in love with it.
I live for the heel click.
The heel clicks were incredible. The way she was just sliding across the floor was immaculate. She calls herself the Swifter of Las Vegas, and I think that is rightfully so. And then into her runway, she was incredible. I love the color scheme of the runway. I love the burrito look of it all.
Mm-hmm.
It was very, very cute to me.
I wish the flower didn't cut so much of her face off. Because I feel like you still need to serve face also. Mm-hmm. But it was sickening. I loved it. And I love when queens can go from being a stunt queen to being just straight up elegant and
beautiful.
Yeah. It was
and
everything.
Do it at the same time, yeah. Mm-hmm. And my only critique was the boobies were a little too big. They were a little unproportional. They were a little questionable. But other than that, I love the way that she uses her natural hair into like wigs and does like the little Y2K pops of color on the side.
Right.
And it's so unclockable. Like it literally looks like it's all her hair.
Right. And for her, from when the moment she walked into the workroom, I went from bored and very sugar and spice to like Anitra on stage.
Yeah,
like
literally. And her at a drag. That is a very attractive person. Yeah. I love the eyes. The eyes are
her face is sickening. Not gonna lie.
But I was very blown away. I thought she was gonna be an annoying like bratty queen, and she amazed me.
She's slayed.
So I would give it a 9 for the talent and a 9 for the runway.
I would give it a 9 for the talent, and I'd give it an 8 for the runway.
Yeah, I just love the colors. The colors were stunning.
And the idea was everything, and it showed her body, like, it's just, I don't know, it's just the face for me. Mm-hmm. You can only see half her face.
Yeah. Next up, we have Tsunami Muse, who is the drag daughter of Kenny Muse, recently featured on All Stars 8 as the runner-up.
Yep.
Spoiler alert. But I don't know. I was kind of let down by Tsunami. I was expecting a lot more. Her entrance look was cute, but the pants were not it for me at all.
I'm not a pants girl.
Yeah. And going into the talent, it was boring. I was so bored. You know, Dawn did a song as well, but Dawn did it and so did a mandatory meeting, but, you know, we talked about her. Dawn did it in a very, like, girly pop fashion. It sounded like literally a pop song.
Right.
Tsunami's was it sounded like a Drag Race talent song, and I was kind of bored. She did nothing. She walked on the stage.
She started out strong, but the second she took us up towards them judges, it got boring.
And then down to the runway, it was boring.
Is pants just gonna be her thing?
Yeah, I don't. It looked like a Fashion Nova jumpsuit.
Yeah,
the talent show.
And do none of these girls know what a stone is?
Yeah, like it's giving very boring. Yeah. And even the cutest one was probably the final reveal in her runway. And even then, it was boring. And the leotard itself was, like, baggy.
Yeah.
I was like,
see, and I'd take the jacket over what was underneath any day. She should have just kept the jacket on, because I love that jacket. Yeah, I'd wear that jacket everywhere.
I was expecting a lot more, and it did not happen.
Especially with, the name.
The name.
On top of that.
So I'm gonna give it a 5 for the talent.
Oh, girl, you're being nice.
And a 4 for the runway.
I give her a 2 for the talent. Whoop. And I'll give her a 4 for the runway, only because that jacket was cute. Yeah. I loved the jacket.
I don't know, the talent was pretty boring.
Yeah.
And for closing out the talent show, we have one of my favorites, Safira Cristal.
I thought that was Dawn.
Listen, I said one. Her talent was a comedical operatic number. And it was incredible. She was singing the entire time while doing splits in this huge gown.
The slow split was everything in that ball gown.
She had the lyrics that were definitely not the correct lyrics projected on a screen for everyone to see. It was funny
that the queens actually questioned that. Yeah. Like, are these actually... No, girl. They are not the actual lyrics.
They're definitely not the lyrics.
And, like, Monet Shade too?
Yeah, giving Monet a run for her money. Like, and doing all this stuff while calling RuPaul her father. Like, it was incredible. And I was not expecting Saphira to be that funny.
Are they the only two that have done opera? Has Jinx done opera on stage?
Not on stage. She has sung like a Broadway number for her talent in All Star 7.
So those are the only two that brought opera to the runway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Monet did it twice, because the first time she stung. Mm-hmm. She was horrible. But the second time,
stunk bug.
She was fantastic. Yeah. Rue needs to keep a pair of opera glasses with her the whole time, just in case.
Yeah. But moving on to the runway, Saphira was... the first two looks were questionable. I honestly don't even remember the first one. I know it was like a gown.
Not gonna lie, I remember the colors of her outfit, but other than that, and the titty reveal. Yeah. Other than that, I don't remember anything other than it looked like she was wearing a diaper.
Yeah. I will say, the final reveal of the leotard, the cut was very diaper-esque. The colors were cute, and I will say like you were saying, the titty tassel reveal was really cute, but the titties were not the correct size. You could definitely tell
they were too small.
You could definitely tell it was her first boobies. Yeah.
But I mean, with being an older and more seasoned queen like she is, she's probably never wore them.
And I mean, like rightfully so. I am not a breastplate queen. I have one for backups, but I do not like wearing it. And from this season alone, here are some reasons. We saw a mandatory meeting with the horrible breastplate, and then we saw this breastplate. And, there were some more gags with this breastplate later to come, but we'll get into that.
It's like Zabian getting in mono titty era. Yeah.
But it was cute. It was okay as a whole. I would give it a 10 for the talent, and I would give it an 8 for the runway.
Slang. I give it a 10 for talent, and I give it a 3 for runway. Mm-hmm. I just really didn't like it.
I did think it was a very interesting choice.
Yeah. A choice, that's what it was.
But moving on, we found one of the twists and gags of the season, which is the Raider Queen, which is heavily inspired, I would assume, by the Circle, but also Illuminati, it seems, Bel Taco.
With a little bit of drag in it.
Yeah. I was kind of living for this. I don't know if it's going to be a full season thing. We shall see. But for the first episode, I thought it was a very unique gag. I thought it was pretty fair, to be honest. And I didn't think it was that much of a gag, for real.
I don't think anyone played shady on it yet. So if it's a full season thing, I definitely want to get to like the top 8, 7, 6 is when I feel like they're going to start playing dirty. As long as there's no what Pinjana did to Jimbo.
Yeah.
Then we're Gucci.
But with the Pick a Queen, we find out our top 2 is Saphira Crystal and Q, which I feel like Dawn definitely gave them a run for their money with top 3. Mm-hmm. And with them, we have a top 2 lip sync, and to the song Break My Soul by the incredible Beyonce.
Queen Bee.
And this lip sync was everything. We find out Q is not an entertainer.
I was so disappointed.
She is not a very good performer. She did give it her all, but she was no match for Saphira Crystal.
Mm-hmm. She started out strong.
Very. And while she started off strong, Saphira was literally swooping around her, praying out, or looking out for her prey, essentially eyeing out her competition.
And then in 2 seconds, she slid in with a split, and
killed.
That was the end of it.
Killed.
End of it.
And then towards the end, she even did the booby bounce on stage. Her breastplate literally flew out of her outfit and was bouncing on rhythm
from her neck.
Yes. And something I took from this was Saphira is very put together and professional.
100%.
Even through mistakes that happen with performing, she still managed to maintain herself. Mm-hmm. And with the breastplate, when she was doing the high kicks, the 3 high kicks in a row, which, can we talk about that? That was incredible.
I know, you can't even do that.
Anyways, she was holding her breastplate to make sure it didn't come out. And then even when they did come out in the split, she was bouncing on rhythm.
It was going with it.
Professional, polished, well put together.
It literally looked like it was she meant to do that.
And I definitely think that's something that's going to come in handy for Saphira in this competition. And probably take her to the end, to be honest. The only thing I really see her getting in the way is her being so put together and managed to the point where it gets to her is she gets in her head about it.
Right.
But what do we think of this episode so far?
I was very impressed. Definitely not what I thought, especially with what some people were saying.
Yeah, some people were saying that it was boring. They wanted more, and I was like, no, I thought it was everything.
Well, and on top of that, it's their first episode. Like, imagine walking onto RuPaul's Drag Race, the very first episode, knowing that this is your first time on stage and the whole world's about to see it.
Exactly.
Like, I'd be nervous.
Exactly.
Like, and so I see Safiria for sure in the top 4 thus far. Queen Q also. As of now, because we still have a whole nother premiere.
Exactly. I definitely see Safiria Dawn making it very far. I do not feel like Hugh's going to make it that far, unfortunately. I feel like she'll make it halfway.
I feel like Dawn and Q are probably in the same boat.
I just feel like if Q gets in the bottom, she's going to get...
She's not going to be able to perform.
Yeah, she's going to get the cut.
But we just got to hope she doesn't get in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And so far, talent and look-wise...
She's serving.
I was going to say, I'm not mad.
Yeah. But with 7 queens down, we have 7 queens more to come on the brand new episode next week. Don't forget to catch the new season of RuPaul's Drag Race on MTV every Friday. And of course, come to the channel the next week to see my review with a special guest, such as Amber.
Slay. That's me.
New.
So for today's segment of new news, we don't have a lot of news to share, fortunately. But for starting off, on the last episode of the podcast, I did mention that the upcoming The Preferred Few for the year. However, due to sickness of the guest, that did not happen, unfortunately. It happens, people get sick. So therefore, I had a backup video to go to Al's on 7th here in Birmingham and do Drag Assassins, which, fun fact, was actually filmed by Amber.
We're a videographer now, girl.
So that is the most recent video on the YouTube, as well as this podcast, which will be premiered on the YouTube as well. So yeah, go watch that. It was a very chaotic video, a very quirky video. It was very chaotic, and I love it. Auditions for the brand new series Country Queens are coming in late January and early February. We are working out a place for the auditions to be held out, so stay very tuned for those. There is a new The Preferred Few coming out shortly. The guest is getting well over their sickness, and we hope to record that episode soon. But the Preferred Show in Dothan, Alabama at Dothan Dance Club is up and running and coming January 13th, which is this weekend, actually, when this is airing. So,
yep.
And make sure to come out the night before, Friday, January 12th, for Drag the Competition, hosted by me with your co-host, Ember Xerxes. This is a quirky little competition where you can show any form of your drag or art and win a chance at a booked cash booking
honey.
at the next The Preferred Show. So come out if you live in the area, and you also will be featured on my YouTube channel if you win. So it's definitely worth the competition, I do say so.
And we know y'all need gas money.
Literally,
and to pay your bills.
That part. But in the last podcast, I also mentioned the brand new Ask Away segment as coming to the Preferred Few as well as the podcast. So we're going to get into that. The link for Ask Away is now up and fully running on my link tree. So make sure to go ask a question to be featured, such as this one. So today, since there are 2 people on the show, we both get a question. Amber, are you ready for your question?
Slay, let's do it.
All right. So this was on the Ask Away app. It is, before living together, how long do you think you need to be in a relationship? And that one is from someone by the name of JS. Don't know who that is. I really don't.
I am definitely a year person now.
Mm-hmm.
After my previous marriage, we moved in with each other after like 3 months of dating, and we all know how that went.
Yeah.
So I definitely would say probably a good 9 months to a year.
Yeah, I would say definitely over the month age.
So
it's not my question.
Well, the first year is what they call it, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Where you're about to get in like your most fights and all that. Mm-hmm. So I'd rather do that not in the same place as you. Mm-hmm. I'd rather go home to my own place until.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say 9 months to a year.
I would say
Did they
over
actually
a year.
ask me specifically that?
No, it was just,
Oh, okay.
it was more specifically for me, I guess. 'Cause it was
Oh, okay.
but,
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't think so, but
but my question is, scared to fall in love, and this is actually from, of course, an anonymous person. No, I wouldn't say well, kind of. I have, like, trust issues, and that, like, holds me back, I guess you would say. But no, I'm definitely open for love.
to be fair, that's something that so many people have nowadays.
Yeah, so, like, I wouldn't say scared, though. I wouldn't say scared, personally.
See, as a Scorpio, I don't have trust issues.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can smell your bullshit
Because you
out
are the trust
before.
issue.
Well, the red flag, yeah. Because I'm a Scorpio.
Yeah. No, I would definitely say my arms are wide open for love, but nothing comes. Anyways, with those exciting new things to come and all those questions asked, and me honestly just being talked out, it's time to end this episode of the Prefer Podcast. Make sure to not only follow the podcast, but all of my socials at The Only Preferred. Amber, where can they follow you?
On Instagram at Amber_V_Valentine. Same for TikTok. And Amber V Valentine on Facebook.
Slay. And stay tuned for a brand new video on the tube this Sunday. As always, it's been nice talking, and I'll talk to you later. And, of course, always stay preferred.
And full of love.